Welcome back. There are just about 6 minutes to go before the day closes out. Neeraj Diwan is with us. Ashwini and Mitesh also in conversation. Today, by the way, has been a good pullback day for a lot of the PSU banks as well. I'll just take some names. I mean, look at Union Bank or, for that matter, Bank of India, Canara Bank. A lot of these names are on the upside of the screen. Neeraj, how do you look at PSU banks? Because now there'll also be anticipation that will start building in that there'll be another round of capital infusion. Do you see a trading rally here on PSU banks?
Yeah, the kind of correction we've seen even in some of the solid PSU banks like Bank of Baroda, where you've seen a downside in the stock because of consolidation which was announced, and you've seen numbers playing also. And last quarter even numbers improved, but still we saw correction happening in a stock like Bank of Baroda or even a PNB. I think these stocks are now ripe for a trading bounce back, and I feel even for an investment, it makes sense to invest in these stocks with a 1 year perspective, because the kind of news that is coming regarding a lot of these accounts getting settled, so I think that will keep on playing for these stocks, and so the profitability which had actually turned negative will again be, which already turned positive, will compound going ahead. So I think PSU banks, one needs to be selective there, because definitely some consolidation is going to happen. There can be announcements of some more mergers coming our way. So that one needs to keep in mind, and barring that, I think there is a clear-cut case for investment in PSU banks and even other banks which are corporate lenders. So I think corporate lenders is one space where one needs to be positive on.
Okay, am I seeing that right? 150% on a Jet Airways stock, 150% move. Okay, this is as bizarre as things get. Now 125, but suffice to say, from the low point, there's a massive move which is on in Jet Airways.
But Anuj, I understand why you're laughing, but in some ways, doesn't it also make a complete mockery of the sense of concept of equity? Here's a company that might be heading into absolute bankruptcy. They found no buyer. Even if they get a buyer, typically equity value gets written down, and the stock has been in a playground of its own over the last 3-4 weeks.
I think it's a bit of a playground, and it's keeps getting into F&O ban and keeps getting out of F&O ban. There's sometimes there's 10% circuit, and after that you expand it, and then
you open the circuit whenever. And
no,
then
that was
actually a technical thing.
That was as per rules, but I don't know what's happened here today though. All of a sudden, 128% surge from the low point. Okay, the first bit when the move happened, perhaps you could ascribe it to short, saying, okay, we've made our money, let's move on now. But this kind of move, 127%, I have not seen anything like this. In a single day, stock moving 130%, I have not seen. I don't know if anyone else has seen, but at least I have not seen a stock moving 130% in a day. What's happening? It's it's a multi-bagger if you bought it in the morning. In the morning, if you bought it, that is.
Oh.
But Neeraj, what's happening here? Jet Airways, your thoughts?
Actually, it is, of course, it's a funny thing which is happening there, but I think it is more, you can say, a scared short seller who had shorted the stock thinking that, of course, it's going to go to zero levels, and today is seeing the market. Otherwise, there's nothing fundamentally which has happened which can really lead to this kind of a rally today in the stock. So I really can't comment on this kind of a move on Jet Airways.
Okay, Neeraj, as we're winding down, I mean, there's been serious mid-cap butchering in the last couple of sessions. Name one or two stocks where you've actually seen serious value. So beyond all the gloom and doom, where a serious portfolio investor can perhaps look at deploying money.
Yeah, basically a lot of mid-caps had corrected, even the fundamentally strong mid-caps, to name a few, like we track companies like TCI, which company has been doing well, or something like a DCM Shriram Limited. So these companies have value, debt is not there on the books. So, you need to look at some mid-cap ideas where, fundamentally things are fine. There's a company called Venky's, that has also corrected seeing the market. But the business is pretty solid, and it is something which cannot be replicated by someone. So these solid companies are the ones which one needs to look at. Barring, of course, we've already spoken about PSU banks or corporate lenders where we are positive on. Even some NBFCs in that space, which have which are solid NBFCs like a Sundaram or a Chola, which have corrected because of the NBFC correction as a whole. But then we've seen these have been there in existence for the last so many decades, and they have been performing well. So these are the kind of companies you get at a discount in this kind of a market.
Okay, all right, Neeraj, just stay on. Let's count down to what's been a pretty interesting day, but I think the drama on Jet Airways, Anuj, really takes the cake today.
I know that. I think towards the end, to see that kind of move, 121% is just phenomenal. Of course, keep in mind, it's a stock which from 800 had gone all the way down to what? 25 rupees?
40? 25.
I think today's low, the record low would be somewhere close to 25, 26. And from that point, you've seen this rally. But the markets had a stunning move. The Nifty is up 150 points, the Sensex is up 500 points, and the Bank Nifty up 427 points on expiry day. This is perhaps the scaring the bear that we spoke about. That was needed, and that happened today. In terms of stocks, it was led by the weak ones. Yes Bank was up 11%, Indiabulls Housing 8.5%, IndusInd Bank was up about 4%, Sun Pharma 3.5%, L&T 3.5%, JSW Steel, Maruti, ICICI Bank, of course, among the stronger ones, was up about 3%. Tata Motors was up 3% as well. Mahindra & Mahindra 2.5% higher. Quite a bit of buying. The stock that was looking weak and even in a strong market didn't recover is UPL, down 8.5%. Wipro was down about 2.5%. And some selling in Britannia, which was down about 1.5%.
Okay, all right. On that note, let's move to mid-caps. And the mid-cap screen is also flashing green today, almost 300 points up on the mid-cap index. After a long time, you have more advancing stocks and declining stocks. If you talk about the movers and shakers, then on the upside, of course, a lot of these heavily beaten stocks managed to sort of shake it off today. Reliance Infra, Reliance Capital, Jain Irrigation, DHFL, CG Power, Wockhardt. These were names where we've seen heavy shorting in the last couple of days, and today was a pullback day on these names. Beyond that, Ashok Leyland, Arvind, Just Dial, these are the other names where there was some buying. Voltas, JSPL. So these were some of the other names where the buyers were queuing up. So not a bad day, really. If you're looking at the other side of the screen, then do watch out for something like Graphite India or V-Guard. These were some of the stocks where the weakness was still persistent and still very clear. In terms of today's newsmakers, after that deal going through, Apollo Hospitals is ending about 1.5% up. So that was the one that was holding out in positive territory. That's how the day has pretty much played out. Let's take final thoughts with our guests. Ashwini, so given that we've had this 150-point up move today, the bears have finally covered and booked their profits. What would the advice be? Tomorrow is also Friday, then we get into the weekend. How would you approach the market now?
Well, it's not about Friday or Monday. The fact is that 2 days the market tried to make fresh lows. It failed. And today, the bears got the message, and chances are, given you had a 400-point rally, now previous highs come into the picture because there's nothing in between. So tomorrow morning, Bank Nifty, you should easily be able to buy again because you'll have a 4 to 5 day upside. Now whether you go to new highs or not, that's besides the point. But what we have is 8-9 days key averages tested, and that way this rally is now ready to go. Maybe your pre-budget move is starting out here, so 7-8 days coinciding with the coming budget, etc. That would make for a decent upside. Maybe we could be in a swinging market, but right now the time is for an upswing. People may wait for the budget before committing big money, but at least for the next 4 to 5 sessions, we should have upside.
Okay, Mitesh, how do you read today's pullback, and are you expecting the expansion to continue on the upside as well?
See, I've talked about some kind of reversal pattern, and the target over there logically is close to about 11,950, and we've seen 11,950, 12,000 hold out as a very important level in the recent past as well. So I think we'll trade long till there and then see if there's more strength and follow through happening beyond these levels of 1193, 12,000. Similarly, on the bank nifty, the corresponding levels would be close to about 31,200. So for the time being, trade with long bias, and then let's see. I think if we reach those levels and don't show much of weakness, then I think we'll continue holding longs and expect a breakout.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, we will take a quick break on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and taking us through to the day's market action. When we come back, a special report on auto dealers' expectations from Budget 2019. That's a sector in a severe slowdown grip. We'll get you more when we come back.